everyone, we've gone over quite a few Cities of Sigmar cavalry list, and this is our last one for 1,000 points. At 2,000 points, we'll kind of make some more interesting lists. But now we've got our 1,000 points Dark Elf Shock Cavalry that I think is a really strong one, can hit really hard. Yeah, let's get into it. Welcome to Greyhammer, and I hope you like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy this video, and if you have anything you want to say about it. It is all appreciated, thank you. So, yeah, here we're using Dread Knights. I want to apologize for the image editing in this video, because my image editor is on the fritz right now. I'm trying to figure out how to fix it, but that's why this wasn't uploaded to Patreon either. It's just been a struggle to try and figure out why it's going, because it just keeps crashing, which is weird, because I've always had a good time with it. But so this is just using the snipping tool that comes with your computer off of the PDF. So it's not great quality, but let's get on with it. This is the list itself. It's a Dreadlord on Black Dragon, and then 4 units of 5 Dread Knights at 180 points apiece. I think they're actually a pretty good cavalry unit for their points. It's kind of hard to say, because Agrodons are 220, I want to say. So they are significantly beefier than Dread Knights, but I feel like they do a good bit more damage as well. It's kind of hard to say. I'd like to kind of compare those two units, whose dinosaur mounts are better, and I think Seraphins are. But let's get on to some more talking about what we're going to be doing with this list. I think for itself, for what it is pretty useful. They are a bit faster than Agrodons. So these are the officer's orders you might want to use. Advance in formation to give you an extra 3-inch move can work pretty decently. It's maybe not the best, but it works pretty well to get over some of the ground and get that alpha strike in. I don't know why I included shift pressing fire. I kept it from the Dark Riders, and that's my mistake. That one you can't use. Strike them down is another one you are going to be able to use, though. If they charge and you have a Cities of Sigmar hero within 12, you can add one to the attack characteristic of the target's melee weapons. In addition, if it's an elf, you add one to the hit rolls for its combat attacks. Sorry, my dogs are going to bark. One sec. So yeah, we're going to be able to just kind of add +1 to attacks and +1 to hit rolls, which is pretty good. That will work pretty well for your units, and yeah, kind of buff up those Dread Knights. Forward Donners is another one. So this is your battle formation. I'm really not impressed with the battle formations for Cities of Sigmar. They're not that interesting most of the time, and it's kind of hard to do just a straight melee list with it. But Forward Donners is add 2 to the move of friendly Cities of Sigmar units in the first battle round. So it works pretty well. So it will just make your guys have a faster movement first battle round, get your guys into combat faster. It works pretty well. And yeah, there's not much to say about it, honestly. Your leader, I've kind of settled on this one as my kind of melee characters artifacts. I think this is probably the best pick. You've got Grizzled Veteran, so unmodified wound rolls for an attack that targets the unit is a 1 to 3. The attack sequence fails and ends for that attack. And then Glimmering, each phase you can reroll a hit roll, wound roll, or 1 save roll. I'll be right back. Apologies, but I think I've figured out how to keep them from barking. Separate the 2 dogs, divide and conquer. But Glimmering and Grizzled Veteran is going to make your unit significantly more, or your Dreadlord significantly more tanky, and even more hitty if you want to. I know those are really technical terms, but can really make some interesting plays, especially because this one is each phase. So you've got 2 passives as your artifact, and command trait, which is pretty useful. Let's get into the Dreadlord on Black Dragon, which we've already talked about once on the channel already. 14 health, 12-inch move, so 14-inch move on the first battle round, which is pretty good. He's got a 4-up save and control 5. His repeater crossbow is a 12-inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage, crit is 2 hits. The Black Dragon's Noxious Breath is a 10-inch range, D3 plus 3 attacks, 2s to hit, 4s to wound, rend 1, 1 damage, but can shoot in combat. It's not the greatest attack. I mean, you're only ever going to do 6 damage with it max. Doesn't really feel that much like a dragon's breath weapon. But, you know, it is a bit of extra damage. Dreadlord's weapon has 5 attacks, 3s and 4s, rend 1, 2 damage, and extra damage on the charge. And then the jaws on the and claws on the Black Dragon is 6 attacks, 4s and 2s, rend 2, 2 damage. You give plus 1 to the charge rolls for friendly Cities of Sigmar Elf Cavalry, wholly within 12. So 2d6 plus 1 on their charge. And then in combat phase, you can do a rampage where you pick all units friendly and enemy within the combat range, excluding this unit. Roll a d3 on a 2-up inflicted amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. It's not the best rampage in the world, but if you go into a big mass of enemy units and he's durable enough to kind of do that, maybe, you can definitely get some good damage in and kind of figure out. Maybe you can start just kind of wearing things out and then hopefully finish things off with your cavalry in another turn, because you don't want your cavalry to start dying from your Dreadlord. But let's get into the cavalry, and that's your... Sorry, they're not Dread Knights, they're Drakespawn Knights. My bad. I think they're Dread Knights in fantasy, which they're... This is something I've kind of learned, is that a lot of the units for Cities of Sigmar are getting moved into the old world. I hope that we'll still be able to get them for these factions. We'll only know when the battle tome for Cities of Sigmar comes out, which they're probably going to do in a while, because it seems like they're doing weird things with them. We might get new elves or new dwarves soon, or both. We'll see. I hope that they do this well and don't leave a lot of people unhappy by removing a bunch of units. 1 second. Really apologize for the choppy nature of this video. I'm trying to record and the dogs are not having it. But let's get into the stats of the Drakespawn Knights. I think I was saying I'm hoping that they don't nix a bunch of elf units and dwarf units, because I think those are interesting. So, the Drakespawn Knights is 3 health, 10-inch move, a 3-up save, and a control 1. Remember that they will have a 12-inch move in the first battle round, and you can practically give them a 15-inch move with an officer's order, so it can get them pretty far up the field. Barbed Lance, they have 2 attacks apiece, 3s to hit, 4s to wound, rend 1, 1 damage, and can do an extra damage on the charge. Their Ferocious Jaws is 3 attacks, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, rend 1, 1 damage. But a good amount of attacks and some rend on their companion weapons make them a pretty decent cavalry option. And then Bestial Instincts is in any combat phase. For the rest of the turn, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this unit's Drakespawn's Ferocious Jaws, while it is in combat with any damaged enemy units, or while it is in combat with any enemy units that have had any models slain. So this is a pretty strong ability. Because if you just are attacking something that's had some damage dealt to it, like maybe by the Dreadlord's repeating crossbow or Noxious Breath, then all of a sudden you're doing 4 attacks with your Ferocious Jaws. 4s to hit, which is tough, but 3s to wound, rend 1 damage. And yeah, you could get a lot of attacks out of these guys, and again, I didn't get an answer on this. We'll go to the tactics in a little bit, but on this, strike them down, it says add 1 to their target's combat attacks if they're an elf, which is different than their melee weapons. So I'm wondering if that applies to companions. If anyone could let me know, that would be much appreciated. because that would be pretty useful if you could get them to 3s and 3s instead of 4s and 3s, and then an extra attack on the barbed lance as well, and 2s and 4s to 2s to hit with them. So could make them a pretty strong cavalry option. The models look cool. We might get new models in the future. That would be interesting. We'll see. But with them, with the Agrodons getting a new model from the cold ones, it seems like they're moving away from cold ones. But I can't be certain for sure. You know. But let's get into tactics. Your Dreadlord's going to basically act similar to the one my last list, where he's really going to be a tough antagonist, provide those buffs to the charge, and just kind of you want to attract things to him, and then use your your Drakespawn Knights. Um, I'm doing the Dreadlord Dread Knights, but it's Drakespawn Knights. You're going to use those to then clean up stuff, hopefully. They're pretty tough, and they can be hard hitting, especially with their mounted weapons, dealing a good bit of damage. We already talked about this. But you having 4 units of them makes it so that you can actually kind of zip around the field pretty easily. They're only 20 points more than Cavaliers, so I feel like they bring a good bit more damage than Cavaliers did. I remember feeling pretty lackluster about them, and they don't necessarily get as many buffs from like the Field Marshal as the Dreadlord gives the Drakespawn Knights. So I think Drakespawn Knights are probably going to be your best cavalry list, and when we bring them to 2,000 points, we're actually going to be able to bring some extra buffs, maybe some supporting units like we'll mix in some Dark Riders that can kind of skirmish with the opponent as well, getting those damage to those units so that your Dread Knights are going to be more powerful. That's going to be it for this video. Again, I'm really sorry about the image quality of it's just not working out for me, and the dogs deciding to bark every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes. So I hope y'all didn't hear that, but I know that it's still choppy, so it's a little discombobulated, so I really want to apologize for that. If you did, despite all this, enjoy the video, go ahead and leave a like. It really helps out, brings more people to the channel. Go ahead and comment as well. Same thing, engagement really helps, especially on such a small channel as mine. Let me know what you think about this list. Let me know about those rules if I'm correct in assuming that, because it is a different verbiage used. And let me know what kind of lists you'd like to see with some Cities of Sigmar list. I have a whole bunch planned, but we might go to back to Seraphim a little bit if y'all can give me some list for that as well. I just haven't really thought about one. I've got some cool things coming up in Warhammer in the future that I've got planned with some friends. We might be doing a narrative campaign. But, yeah. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. But for me, that's going to be it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.